Thank you.
the board is.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Could I please get a roll call?
Yes, Donald Woodworth,
He's going to be late.
Jack Sapia,
Here.
Bree Woodworth,
Present.
Kim McCormick,
Here.
Shauna Manthorn,
She's absent.
okay. Katie Newton,
I'm here.
Kristen Savage,
She's absent.
Mark Sherwood,
Here.
and Paula Kane.
Thank you. If everyone could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll go over here now. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. First business is to approve the minutes, and I believe we also have some non-public ones to approve as well. So we'll do the public ones first, and then we'll.
Thank you.
Let's do public first, then we'll do non-public. So whenever you're ready, please make a motion to accept.
Make a motion to accept the public meetings from June 28th.
A motion to have a second. Seconded by Jack. Any further discussion on the June 28th public meeting minutes? All those in favor? Opposed and abstained. So 2 abstained. 4-0-2. All right, so that was that. Now we just need the sealed. Not public.
Make a motion to accept the non-public meeting minutes.
Got a motion to have a second? Seconded by Jack. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed and abstained. 4-0-2. If you guys could please pass this back.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any delegates or individuals, Linda?
No, we do not.
Thank you. So first order of business is to talk about booster sponsorships. Come on down.
Hello, everyone. So tonight, the yearly approval is needed from the school board for any booster groups wishing to display signed sponsorships from businesses on school grounds. So we try to do this per school board policy on a yearly basis. The booster presidents must complete the fundraising form that outlines the signed sponsorship details, and I also keep the copies as well in the athletic office. So we're just looking for you to approve the booster signed sponsorship program.
Can we just make a one motion that approves all signed sponsorships, or do we need to do it individually?
Traditionally, I believe I have sent over already the groups that are looking to do it. So those are the groups that you have in your packet. So for a streamlining purpose, traditionally, you've approved those that have asked.
No. What I'm saying is, I see that. I see volleyball, softball,
Yeah.
football, baseball, and soccer.
We-
What I'm saying is that could we just make one motion stating that we approve all that are presented, or do we need to name all of them?
I don't believe you need to name all of them.
One motion.
One motion is fine.
Thank you.
Is lacrosse in there?
They are not doing sign sponsorships.
They're not?
No.
Okay. I just want to make sure we
The
didn't miss them.
lacrosse signs, but not business signs.
So we could just approve, make a motion to approve all sign sponsorships for the booster groups at this meeting.
I'm going to make a motion to approve the booster sponsorships for the upcoming academic year for volleyball, softball, football, baseball, and soccer.
It'd been
I'll
my-
second.
Motion by Bree, seconded by Kim. Linda, you good? She spoke really quick.
Huh? Yeah,
Slow it down, play it at half speed later.
Right? All right, any further discussion on this? All those in favor? Opposed? And abstained? All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Thank you.
Thanks, Angela.
Take care.
Nice track.
All right, next is the Performing Arts Center title change.
Yeah, so we're bringing a recommended proposal to you tonight for the Director of Music and Performing Arts. Title change, there's an executive summary in your packet that essentially outlines a little bit of the history of the position, but also looking to kind of do practically kind of what is happening at the administrative level now, to be able to meet those needs, and on the offset of that, looking at the cost of the stipend that is provided for the PAC coordinator. We believe we were able to reduce that if that other position can assume and continue some of those duties at no impact to kind of the student body here. We just feel it's something that would be more accurately reflect the streamlining that we're moving to currently.
So the title change is going from what to what, is your
Going for the
recommending?
Director of Music to the Director of Music and the Performing Arts Center.
Music and Performing Arts Center, okay.
Who's in this current role? Sorry.
Go ahead.
Who's in this current role?
Kurt Schweiss.
And have they, have you discussed the kind of shift and what it would look like for their workload?
Yes, yeah, we've had kind of multiple conversations with him, both individually and then Sandy and I together as a team.
And are you willing to take on this responsibility?
Supportive and kind of trying to honor that, that movement.
And then the stipend, you said you decreased it. It was originally $20,000, and then because of this, it's now dropped to 10.
Correct, yeah. Yep, we did a little bit of analysis about the number of hours and the duties that would be kind of assigned there, and as opposed to what would be absorbed. And we feel confident that that's a good figure to land at.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept the change of the title of Director of Music to the Director of Music and the PAC.
I'll second that.
Motion by Kim, seconded by Mark. Does anybody have any other questions or discussion? All right, seeing that there is none, all those in favor? Opposed and abstained. All right. Next on the list is enrollment update. Hello.
Evening.
Good evening.
So you're very familiar at this time with the paper in front of you, I'm sure, the electronic version in front of you. Really, the update is not surprising. We were expecting, but Danville School has hit capacity in both classes at grade 2 and hit capacity at both classes at grade 4. Pollard School remains with pressure points at grade 3 and 5 and grades 1 and 2 on watch.
So you said grades 2 and 4 have hit capacity? So if we had one more student in each of those classes, then we would either have to waive policy or say no, and you guys would have to go out. I mean, right? Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, based on current policy language, just something we did this past year at Danville School. There's language in there that pertains to adding paraeducator support in the classroom, commensurate with the number of students over. There's an hourly allocation for support. That's one option. Could direct us to look for funding to support an additional classroom position. At this time, we don't have any open and vacant positions available to repurpose. But that would be another option, so yes.
Okay, thank
Do
you.
we have the physical space in the building for that?
At the Danville School, yes, yes.
Okay.
Could we look for the money for these 2 classrooms that are at capacity and we're in July? I don't, I don't want to say bossy. Could I, as a board, agree to direct the superintendent to find a way that we could
Let's
add
not wait to the
teachers?
11th hour.
I don't want to wait till the 11th hour. Can we start looking now?
Can we start looking now?
Yes, we can start looking now.
So my question is, could we waive policy in the other side? Could we say, get the extra teacher for those 2 classes, even though we're not past capacity?
Do you understand that second?
I do. And so I think it was August of 2020, the board actually did that in three different classroom situations. We were not over capacity per policy size, but the difference being we had open and vacant positions available to repurpose. So it wasn't a situation of looking to reallocate funds from where they might have been budgeted in the operational budget to reallocate to create positions. We had positions that we could repurpose. But there is a precedent to waive policy or to create 3 additional positions before hitting max capacity. But that was a board motion that was approved back then, so.
If we can find money for other things in our already very tight budget, I feel like this is the most important thing, is to find the money in our already tight budget to relieve these classroom settings.
And potentially 2 more in power.
And potentially 2 more, but it's
That's just the
for
question,
a
I
tall
guess,
order.
I wanted to raise for this group to understand is like,
Yeah.
yes, there are kind of some class size things that everybody would like to address. As soon as we begin to do 1 or 2 individually, and we're looking to kind of compromise equity over the course of that time, as things become more inequitable, as students enroll or leave, or those numbers fluctuate and change, where is the line between saying, well, that classroom, but not that one?
Right.
That classroom over there, but not this one here. And I just want to be cognizant of that larger frame thinking kind of down the road.
So,
Yeah, Jack, go ahead.
so, I'd like all the classrooms to have 12 kids in them, but in our review, we basically, and again, the impact to the teachers and the staff that are supporting this, we need to take into consideration. But in everything I've listened to, and coincidentally, I was looking at the chart you gave us with all the other towns, it seems like there are a lot of classes that are between 20 to 25. And what we were told was that it really is more on the instructor than it is the class size. That's what I think the research shows.
Some of the research points too, yes.
To Justin's point, can I call you Justin? To Justin's point, like, where does this, I almost feel like if we can't get all classes, I mean, Kim, I totally agree with you too, so I'm kind of torn here, unless we can get all the classrooms down to 17, 16, where do you draw that line?
If I could just kind of speak to what Justin was saying. If you look at your Pollard numbers, you've got your 23 from grade 2 going into 23 in grade 3. So that doesn't sting as badly as 16 going to 26 in Danville. So your question being, like, where do we draw the line? Where does it end? I don't know. And I know we're looking at it in curriculum and assessment, but specifically, can we look at it as a as-needed basis? Or, because that, to me, 16 to 26 seems big.
So you would consider like the percent change as something that could be used as a metric other than?
I would put that out there just because that's glaring to me.
Could,
And you're going from 14 first graders to 23.
this could be inappropriate for me to ask it, but I'll ask it anyways. What I recognize with my 2 kids are that classes are very different from year to year. Some classes are more challenging, which creates more stress, less learning. And then other classes, it seems like you have a group of rocket scientists all in the same year. I mean, So is there a way that you can look in those analysis of the students, I forget the terminology we use, to see where each student is and say, okay, we're best served, if you have to make a choice where the students are most challenged. I don't know if that's fair or equitable, but I'm just kind of throwing something against the wall here to see if that makes any sense.
So for me, and it's not just because I'm the Danville school rep, and if it were the Pollard that was the numbers in red, this would be a different conversation. For me, the numbers that are in red, coupled with the fact that you're going the percentage, from 16 to 26, for this upcoming year, I would like to make a motion to direct the superintendent to find 2 classroom positions for Danville School.
And waive policy, or find the money in case we get that one extra student. I'm asking for
No, I would
clarification,
like
yeah.
to waive policy
So,
and
so
find.
hold on. Sandy, how long have these class sizes been this way in Danville?
The numbers as they currently are, or the policy
Policy
size?
for that.
The policy has been in place. I can pull it up and look at how long, we have not, those numbers on maximum class size by grade level, that has not changed in at least the past 6 or 7 years. It could be longer than that. But we've seen increasing enrollment. So we're getting closer and closer, I think, to the top end of maximum class size.
Right.
But that maximum number has not changed in at least the past 5 or 6 years.
Too bad we couldn't take a couple kids from
Yes,
Danville.
Paul.
Would have been Atkinson, right?
To Kim's point there, I mean, we're coming in, this is the first time this has been red, right? I mean, this is the first time we've come in and it's red, like,
Yes.
we're there.
Yes.
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 From a business perspective, for running a business, it would be, in my opinion, foolish to wait till it's exceeded capacity. Like, there's gotta be a trigger somewhere that says, at this point, we act. To me, I think it's before this, but at the very least, at full, we react. That's, because the next one, we're gonna be, when do we meet again? A month from now?
When
Too late.
they're building classrooms.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is a now thing. It's more fair to the teachers, more fair to the students who are learning who their teachers are. It's more fair to the parents, it's more fair to everybody. So I would generally agree with, if that motion, if you just made a motion, I would second it, that I think we need to do this now at Danville. With an eye on Pollard, because you're only in grade 3, what?
Yeah.
2 students away from red?
Yes, so the pressure points in 3 and 5
Yeah.
are
One.
1 in grade 5, actually 1 in grade 3. If you look at the class size anticipated, there's, at grade 3 at Pollard, we are 23, 23, 22. So that means just one class needs 1 student to then be red. Same thing with grade 5, 26, 26, 25. We need 1 student.
Okay, so for now, I'll just focus on what Kim said about Danville. I'll just express my opinion that Pollard School also needs action, because you're 1 enrollment in one case, and like 2 enrollments in another case, from needing to do something. We know it now.
Yeah.
And it's not gonna get better. Does it typically go down from here?
Well, it
Usually?
fluctuates all the time, and there are cases where students and families move out in August and they move to another district, but you're talking about 1 or 2 swing either way.
Move in too, right?
Absolutely, so that's why it's ever
Yeah.
ongoing. The one thing I would ask the board to consider in the way you word your motion, to Sandy's point, right, we tried to, or we did add 3 positions a few years ago and we were unable to fill them. We had a long conversation about how long we would hold those open and at what point we would not remove existing classes and disperse them. I do want to give the board just the information that I am aware of 3 positions we need to fill at the elementary that are not well, 1 is posted, anticipated, and 2 are not currently posted. So I just would advise that when we make the motion, or when you make the motion, that we're careful about the wording, because we may not be able to find 5 or 6 staff members in July and August.
And if I'm reading between the lines, perhaps I'm paranoid, and I am, is your suggestion that if we do open up 2 more positions, that those could essentially cannibalize the currently existing positions that we need to be filled? Or is that just a cautionary tale that we currently can't fill them, so we may have a challenge if we add 2 more to the, I wish
I
list?
think what this is that currently for Danville, like what you're saying, there's no open positions to fill, correct? To add, is that that's what you said earlier, right?
Right.
Based on positions that, what we have is needed, right? It could be, though, that we have vacant positions, but they're posted because we're actively seeking individuals to fill those positions because they're needed.
Right.
That being said, we may not be able to fill all positions, right? There may be some paraeducator positions we're not able to fill, right? Most of those are required through special education. So, there's not as much flexibility as we have had in past years with open positions that we're not intending to fill, where we might be able to reallocate funds. That's all.
So, in other words, we could make a motion to seek, but just understand that something might be sacrificed to get this filled.
However, if, I'm not asking you to take the positions that are already posted and use them for something else. I'm asking you to find additional money in the budget we already have to fund new positions. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Please.
I guess, Mark, just to answer your question, I think my caution is to make sure that it is about the money and the intent.
Yes.
And not now put a 4th and a 2nd grade into
Understood.
Danville so that we now have classrooms we have to fill. We need to fill the openings of the teachers who are vacating. And if we find the money, then move to adding.
So,
So the 4th grade clearly is full.
In the
At
2nd
Danville.
grade.
Where the second, why is the 2nd grade full?
23, 23.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that, but
That's the
That's-
policy
so that's
limit.
that's the
Policies,
part
23.
on,
Yeah.
okay.
so each grade has a different
It has a
number
different,
associated,
okay.
yeah.
I figured as
Yeah.
much.
Look
and,
all the way to the right, the column all the way on the right.
I see the red, I was looking at the numbers.
Look all the way to the right.
The other end.
It doesn't, I don't have anything.
Oh, okay. It's got
You should have a paper copy in your folder.
Jack, the
I'm
maximum
good.
class size
I'm good. I'm good.
column will show you by grade level. Those are the policy numbers. So that column on the far right,
I got you.
those are the policy numbers.
I get you. Sorry for being,
So should I amend to say that I would like to direct the superintendent to find the money to fill 2 additional positions at the elementary level after the current openings have been filled? Is that an accurate?
Would that address your concerns?
You want to say
Personally, I
something?
don't know if you need the end piece.
Right, because I didn't think that it's separate from,
Flexibility with-
right?
If we found 3 people tomorrow, we'd be in a great place. And
Right.
we'd be like, okay, we're ready. But if those 3 positions go up and our pool is 1 or 2 candidates, and right, it just,
You don't want it to cannibalize it.
You don't want the 2 positions we don't even know if Justin can find, or Sandy can find the money for the 2 positions. So really, right now, we're just
That's, I think, is the first question.
directing you to come to us next meeting and tell us if you can find the money. But even then, it might be too late.
I would just maybe caution, if we're going to look for monies, why not say 2 to 4 positions because of Pollard?
I would direct the superintendent.
Again, if we're gonna look, let's look.
If,
So, again, we need to be cautious. So what I think we need to do is see if they can get the current positions that we need filled, and then if there's anything left over, then go from there. But again, it runs into the thing, how do you pick or choose? I understand this.
I
You
certainly
got the
don't want
2
to take
red, yeah.
away from what we are already looking for,
Yeah.
right?
well, I guess what we're already looking for are the classes that are shown here as class size anticipated, right? So those are people who are leaving that we're calling a class right now, so we have to put someone in front of the children in that class. Then if we can spread out larger grade levels by adding, that's wonderful, but my concern is making sure that we have teachers for the classes that we already have on this piece of.
So
Start
the word
cannibalizing.
additional. So find 2 to 4,
Just two's fine, people.
okay, 2, find the money to fund 2 additional positions, additional being the key word, on top of what we already have. So let's make that sound better. Okay, Linda, I'm gonna try to make that sound better.
Want me to reread it? You wanted that last piece off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me just read it.
Yeah.
To direct the superintendent to find the money to fill 2 additional positions at the elementary level.
Does that take away from what's already being, okay, and is that,
No, because I don't look at it as like cannibalization as such as Mark's asking. I think Lucy's, and correct me if I'm wrong, is trying to add to the point, we're struggling to hire now.
I know.
We're gonna be adding an additional hire need atop that.
right,
But we get to direct when we hire people where they're going to be and kind of
Right.
plug them into the best environment.
I would
So-
just like to know, do we have the money to help relieve this pressure right here? Because we've already had Danville families come to us with issues, and these classroom sizes going from 16 to 23 or
But what he's
26.
saying is that we're already trying to hire and we can't get anything from what we're currently trying to hire.
Right,
So-
but,
Which is challenging.
right, but to add to your challenge, I'd like to add to your challenge.
And I understand exactly what you're saying, so
Thank you.
let's just let that motion sit and let it carry out, and then I would have a question for the board when we get to the end of that
Okay.
that conversation and discussion.
So my question is, we're talking about two positions, potentially 4. What is, and we talk about having to find the money, actually, how much money is it? And then once you determine that for this year, that becomes a perpetual to infinity and beyond number, right? Even though that need may change, but we talk about hiring positions, and now we're talking multiple positions, so what is the fiscal impact to that? So not only are you gonna have the challenge of finding the people, but then you're gonna have the challenge of finding the money. So the more we try to accommodate, and look, at the end of the day, this is about providing the kids the best educational experience, period, right? That's gotta come before everything else, even my turf fields. Other than that, so I'd just like to know what that impact, that additional impact would be for 2 more teachers. And we may be talking 4, and you gotta extrapolate that out, right?
What, just the salaries?
The whole, it's gonna be the whole package, right? What is the package for an average grade school teacher for the
We have that
year?
info, and we know what it would be based on their experience and their, so, like, granted, I mean, it depends on who you would hire, but.
Pick an average number.
Yeah, it's an easy number to come up with. Right.
Are you comfortable with the language of the motion that she's talking
I
about?
understand exactly what you're looking to see.
All right. So that's the motion that was made. Did you write it down?
I
Are
just
you
have a
good?
question.
I have it, I read it.
Yeah, hold on.
So there's 15, number of staff needed currently is 15
Is the language
at Danville, for example.
Gives you flexibility.
So you're saying we're already looking for 3, so we have 12, so whatever the numbers were, right?
I'm talking across the district at
Okay,
the
gotcha.
elementary level, so not
Got it.
necessarily that school, but
Okay, but in
Posting.
general, I'm looking at the numbers the right way. This says we need 15 for what we already have. We add, that's, got it. So we're already trying to hire to a need and got it. Okay, I just wanted to understand the numbers. Got it, thank you.
Mark, do you have something?
Yeah, I'm wondering, would you be comfortable with instructing the super to look for additional funds for an additional 2 positions above and beyond what is currently posted, for the eventuality of needing to utilize those funds? That way we know,
Justin's currently comfortable with the language of the
Okay,
motion right
I
now. It
will-
feels
yep.
like he has flexibility. So I think
Fine.
we've discussed this, good discussion, but I think the motion's been made. We're comfortable with the language. Do I have a second for it?
Second.
Paul will second it. Is there any other discussion on this? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed and abstained? Okay. Thank you, Lucy.
So
And then
just
what's your
a
question?
question for the board. First, Don, welcome. I didn't see you sneak in
Yep.
there. Good to see you. So as we think about where to go and look for these things, looking for a direction or some guidance from this group, there's really two ways for us to look at funds. So you've got an operating budget, and you've got everything supplemental on the other side of that, which is grants, one-time appropriations, and all that stuff. We're talking about personnel, we're talking about salary, we're talking about committed costs over a period of time. So grants and one-time appropriations are out, and it's the operating budget that we have to look at.
Okay.
Do you have any strong recommendations of areas of that budget that you want us to pay attention to first, or to prioritize?
Great. You look like you had something.
I just heard of an administrative position at the SAU being not hired for a little bit. Maybe that one. But I have no idea what it is called.
Let's talk about that. Jack?
So the way I look at this is kind of what I said just a few minutes ago. The education, especially around those core subject matters, in elementary school, clearly need to come first. I think then the special ed stuff is right in with that mix. I think some of the things that we do here will have to be sacrificed. The facility stuff, would probably be third or fourth on that list, just because we have just put this stuff off for so long, and there's a laundry list of stuff that has come up in the last 2 weeks that probably we'll address tonight at some point. But I struggle with spending the extra money and putting more staff on, but we're at the saturation point in the classes, and the kids have got to come first. It's just that simple. So, if it takes all of us doing a workshop to go over the budget and pull that money out, that's what we gotta do.
Is there an open and vacant position at the SAU level?
Not that I'm aware of.
Oh. Maybe I had wrong information.
No, I don't know. Would that be something that we could look at, and then answer your question after we've looked at the budget?
You can look at whatever you like to look at.
No, I know, I mean, to answer, I don't feel comfortable answering where to direct you to find specifically, without really taking a good look at it. Is that?
Why don't that just have to be an open question? Because this is going to be an investigative process, and as it plays out, if you've got suggestions as you do a little bit more digging and your own things, please give that stuff to Katie, and she will be happy, I think, to funnel it to us for some direction.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Lucy.
Thanks, Lucy.
All right. Next on the list is donations. What did we get as a donation? The Atkinson Women's Civic Club is donating $750. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's,
A couple days of teaching.
yeah.
Great group of ladies.
Very great group of ladies. We appreciate the donation. Could I please get a motion to accept it?
So moved.
We have a motion made by Jack. Do I have a second?
Second?
Second by Mark. Any discussion?
Did you want to read that out loud?
You can.
Well, I don't want to.
You got it. Go ahead.
already
I've
said-
talked
I'm
all
at my-
day. Go ahead.
I'm at my word quota for the day.
I just wanted to thank them for focusing on the prevention of substance abuse here at the high school and for bringing alcohol awareness and mental health awareness. It is really great that they're focusing on these issues.
Thank you, Bree. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Oppose and abstain. And again, thank you, ladies. All right. Food service contract.
Specifically, just looking for an action for the board to authorize the interim superintendent to be able to sign the food service contract with Woodson's.
So moved.
Motion made by Kim. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Second by Bree. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed and abstained. Okay. Then we have some policies.
3 policies, all second read, all with remain unchanged since the first read in front of this board last time. AC, BEDH, and EF.
And just for the public, the policy AC is the Non-Discrimination, Equal Opportunity, and Anti-Discrimination Plan. BEDH is the participation at school board meetings, and EF is the food service management policy. So if someone would please accept those for a second read, make a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Those for a second read.
Motion by Mark. You want to second it?
Second.
Second it by Don. Any other, and again, nothing changed from the first read when we first looked at these. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed and abstained. Okay. School board goals. We had a workshop, what was it, Tuesday?
2 days ago.
2 days ago, had the rep, his name's Barrett.
Barrett Christina from the New Hampshire School Board Association.
Yep, came down, did a really good class, and we went over our goals and revamped them. Everybody did a lot of hard work looking at this. I want to thank Shauna for taking the time to actually type everything up. But we took what we did for our strategic plan and then based our goals off the strategic plan. And so this is what we have come up with, and I believe everybody, if you just want to take a quick look at them real quick and make sure there's nothing to change, and then I'll entertain a motion to accept them. Yep, Bree, go ahead.
Just on learning number 3, where it says align K-5 instruction, maybe monitor alignment, because we're not going to be physically aligning it, but we will monitor the alignment. Or evaluate maybe is a better.
I think the intention was to align them so that they're uniform across the district with the elementary schools, so that the subject matter, the kids are getting the same
I
materials.
agree, but we're not going to be doing that.
Why is that?
Because that would be Lucy's job, or Sandy's job.
So we would evaluate or monitor them doing the work. But again, if you're happy with it the way it is,
See what
we're
you're
good.
saying.
Monitor the alignment of?
That's what I said.
All right, we'll add, so for number 3, we will add monitor the alignment of
Yes.
K through 5
I would
instruction.
love that.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept the school board goals for the academic year 2023-2024 as amended.
Got a motion, do I have a second?
No second?
Seconded by Bree. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed and abstained. Okay. Utility contract, right?
I have personnel.
It's personnel.
Well, then why do I have utility contract here before personnel?
I don't have a utility contract in mind.
I have it in mind.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, no, I saw that, but I was like, this isn't matching up. Hi, guys. Hi.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Again.
I know, long time no see.
So we are due to sign a contract for our electricity, our electric rate, and our propane rate.
Okay.
What the district historically has done is to have a 3-year contract or 2-year contract, depending on the rates that are offered to the district. The challenge with these utility contracts is that the rates that they provide us are good for 24 or 48 hours sometimes. So we need permission to engage the rate if the rate is correct, but in order to engage in a multi-year contract, we need the school board authorization to do so. So we're asking like for a pre-authorization when the right rate comes to say, okay, yes, we're gonna jump into it because of the time restriction of the rate.
Right, because you said the rates are only good for like, what you see is only good for 28 or 48 hours. So it's like by the time you would have come to the board and said, hey, can we have this, they would have already changed. what are the rates even looking like right now?
10 cents for kilowatt hour at this rate. That's just for the supply side. Delivery isn't negotiable. That's just a set
Right.
rate. So we go through an energy broker to do the bidding for us basically, and they contact all the electricity suppliers, and then they recommend which one they go with because of the rates. Sometimes a 2-year, 3-year. It depends on what's going to be best for us. It's right now, you know, they're looking at the lowest rate is a variable rate, and I really would like to stay away from that and stay with a set rate, even if we have to pay a half a penny more per kilowatt hour, because that could, you know, you saw how volatile it was last winter. I would hate to have that happen again on a variable rate. So,
Jack, go ahead.
So, yeah, so my question is, do we hire a broker to do this for us?
well, they do it on behalf of us and take a percentage
From okay.
from what we buy.
So, say the broker goes out and explores 5 different companies. Is that how it works? Do we get to see those companies and those rates, or do they just make the recommend? You do, okay. I wasn't sure whether he just make his recommendation and that's where we go,
He'll
so.
give me a list of all the rates for 24, for 12 months, 24 and 36
Yep.
months. He'll highlight in green which ones he thinks would be the best deal for us, and we make a decision.
Eh.
You know, it's a gamble, I'll tell you right now. I've lost before. We've had the opportunity to buy at 7 and ended up paying 16. It's just a gamble.
So if we go with a fixed number, because I don't understand this. So if we go with a fixed rate, that is not the fixed rate for all 3 years, right?
Yes, it would be the
It is a fixed rate for all 3 years, okay.
all 3 years. And if it's too high.
And is there any advantage to going, you said that they offer 2 and 3-year rates? Is there any advantage to go, because for me, it makes sense to go with the longest amount of time as possible, but like, do you pay more for the longer
You pay less for the longer usually. That's Usually.
Kind of like a mortgage. Right, I mean, 30 years cheaper than,
You pay cash, what do you know about mortgages?
So usually the longer term gives you the
Get a
better
little
rates.
better deal.
Just-
Okay.
Just because you're locked in.
Yep, thank you. Just trying to understand it.
Bree, go ahead.
So what was our previous rate at?
Right now, we're paying 16,
And how long did we lock in for that?
1 year because of the fact that it was so high.
Okay.
And is that
So-
coming up?
November 1st
Okay.
is the end of our term.
Sorry, Bree, go
So
ahead.
you can make that change anytime between now and November 1st if you see
Right,
something.
Right, so we keep asking them, and if it doesn't look favorable this week, if I see anything, I get market analysis from 2 different companies right now. One that I used to work with at a different district still sends me information because they like me. And so I watch his market analysis, and I take the one we're using here, his market analysis, and we try to make an informed decision on everything.
So you could lock in today for starting November 1st, if the numbers were right? Okay.
Mark?
you had mentioned there's a broker that makes some sort of commission, you know, pennies on the dollar, if we utilize them. If these are public utilities and you are able to get reports, do we need to utilize a broker and let him get his cut?
So yes, because they will not deal with individuals.
With an individual.
They deal with brokers. We've tried even having 2 brokers working for us, and they won't only deal with 1 broker for your company. Because there's some companies out there I've never even heard of, NG or something like
Understood.
that,
Yeah.
they're reaching out to and getting pricing from, so. I've never heard of that company, but they were the lowest the last time we went out some more.
We already tried. The other thing is we have 3 different electric companies in the district. And we try, try to reach out directly to the electric companies. They said they won't deal with us. We have to go through. And like Carl said, they won't allow even 2 brokers to act in our behalf. We can only choose one. It's just the way the market is.
We've tried.
Believe me.
Go ahead.
And so if we don't utilize this and we're just paying who determines what rate we're currently paying? So we,
If we didn't lock in with an electric supplier, we'd be paying whatever Unitil, New Hampshire Electric, or
Be a lot.
co-op, the co-op, or what's the other? It's
Hampshire Co-op, Unitil.
Unitil. We'd just be paying what they charge any business without a contract. Which I believe was up around 22 cents
Which could be
last
really
winter.
ridiculously
Yeah.
high, yeah.
All right, so you need a motion to authorize you all to be able to engage in, say the motion that you want, and someone will say so moved.
Yeah, to be able to engage in a multi-year contract. Or to accept the rate, the electric rate, to engage in a multi-year contract, if the rate is favorable for the district.
What?
If the rate is favorable.
Oh,
If the rate is favorable, okay.
so someone please make a motion to authorize a multi-year contract for electricity, propane, and oil.
So moved.
So moved by Jack, thank you. Thanks, Kelly. I was like, it's not fair. Okay, I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Kim. Any other discussion? So again, all this is allowing them to do is because the rates are changing so quickly, it just allows them to lock in. But again, we are stuck at paying 16 cents until November.
So we'll have to lock in at the best rate that's available then if we haven't made that decision first.
Yeah.
You,
Which.
Or you could let it ride for a month or so.
Right.
And one other thing is we might come back if the rates don't come again at 16 or the 17 rates, we might come back and say, you know what, we recommend to engage in another 1-year contract.
Right.
Just
Right.
to wait and see if prices
You're
change
s-
like we did last fall.
you're saying right now it's 10 cents?
10 cents.
Which is
10
way better than
cents.
16.
And is there any cyclical, I'm assuming that the numbers go up in the winter time,
Go-
right?
the
So I
numbers
would
go
think
up.
July, August is the best time to lock in. So pull the trigger sooner than later. And we're not saying that you guys aren't expected to come back to us. You guys could just lock in now with that motion,
That's what we
right?
just got permission to do,
Yep.
is lock in without
Okay.
coming back to you. We would come back and report what we
Yep.
ended up doing. Yeah.
Get the
Hopefully
5 cents.
It's a gamble. Right.
We've got a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion on this? Did you have something, Mark?
I'll bite my tongue.
You sure?
Yeah,
No, you're not. I'm just saying.
Pretty much.
so there's a profit margin baked in when you do it long-term,
Yes.
so I guess I would be hesitant and I will probably abstain unless you folks are looking at it all the time. They're making money when we lock in a 3-year deal. Because there's some security in them, and even though July and August historically are lower utility rates, they're baking that in. They're baking that in already to their recipe. So I'm not anxious to, pull the trigger real fast unless you say, yes, we're going to be, very disciplined and we're willing to let it extend month by month by month. Until we have a rate that you two feel is favorable based on historic averages.
You're absolutely right on that, but like if we don't engage in a multi-year contract or we don't engage through an agency that acts in our behalf, we are at the mercy of the electric company. If you see at home, I'm paying 22 cents per kilowatt. So 10 with fees that we know there is included, but that's the only route we can go, or we're at the mercy of the electric company, which my bill doubled in last October.
So I have a
Right.
So
Point taken.
So I have a question. Right now, if we were to lock in today, it's an advantage of 6 cents per kilowatt. How many kilowatts do we use a year? Like, what would be the savings? I would love to know how much we would save right now if we were at the rate of 10 versus 16. And, is that tens of thousands of dollars?
I know last year we were short $500,000 in our.
Yeah, but the bigger question is how many kilowatts do we use? And how much is that total bill? And you could just,
yeah, we can look it up.
yeah, no, well, that should be a simple math thing, right? It's
Yeah, no, we can look it up.
60%. We would be saving 40%,
That's
Over
not
last
including
years' bill.
delivery, But yeah,
huh?
that's not including delivery fees, which are baked in and
Well-
non-negotiable.
So,
Yeah, we can look up, I don't know if we.
With your relationship with the broker, just so I understand the relationship, do they advise as well, like,
Yep.
hey, it's 8 cents, we recommend you do this?
Yes,
Like
and
they're-
they've done
they're
that several
working
times
us.
for us, and we just haven't been able to pull triggers fast enough.
Okay, okay.
And sometimes,
that's all we're
you don't listen to what he says because you
I
think
think
you're
we
gonna
just
do
found the
better.
money for
'cause,
those two positions.
The last time we were
Right?
last time we were looking to
Money
purchase,
over above
it
what
was,
we
it
had.
was significantly higher
Oh,
than
yeah.
what we were currently paying, so we held off and we got burned because that's when everything went up into the stratosphere, and that's why we're stuck paying 16 cents.
Yeah, and
Off electricity.
It's-
it's a couple of
you
years for
can't-
utility prices as a baseline, I
Baked
mean, it's
in the
crazy, so.
budget, right?
Yeah.
So if we save, all of a sudden we
We're making
save $500,000.
uneducated guesses.
I think everybody was the last couple of years, so, sure. Thank you.
So again, all we're doing is really taking that time constraint from them, so it gives them quicker options to act. Okay. So we've got a motion and a second, we discussed heavily, so any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? And abstained? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Find us a good rate.
We need to fund 2 positions. 4.
All right, next, administrators report.
Yeah, so I'm actually wanted to just give you some information about 2 days this week that we spent together as a district-wide administrative team. So our school leaders, our district-level leaders convened together on Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. We had some really great, productive, collaborative time focused on evaluation protocols to make sure that we have clarity and consistency in giving feedback to our staff to really facilitate their own professional growth and their goals and develop trusting partnerships through evaluation. So that was one topic. We did some long-range planning regarding professional development and our professional development days, how we're going to look at early release time. We were able to touch base on our plan connected to Alice, and I know that went to Safety Committee today, but we did some collaborative work around that, and talked about new teacher induction as well and our mentoring program, which is grant funded, not funded through the district budget, but did some planning connected to that schedule. We'll be welcoming a significant number of new staff to our district in August over 3 days, and are looking like we're going to have some really engaging sessions for those people. So we're looking forward to that. And then finally, yesterday was a little bit more of a work session, so we were able to collaborate around budgeting. And then our elementary team and secondary team broke off, and we're able to do some more focused work together. So overall, it was a really great day. We were able to use this space actually yesterday. And the functionality of the new furniture allowed us to kind of facilitate smaller groups and large group discussions. So that was really great. I don't know if Justin has anything to add with that, but
Sandy had the mic, but I just wanted, that's the substantive stuff. But also just wanted to thank all the folks that are involved in getting the construction pictures and stuff together, like the visuals of what's happening around the campuses are powerful. So they're on the website. I really encourage the board and the members of the public to kind of keep an eye on it, watch it change over time. It's kind of good to see that type of stuff at work and watch it work to completion. So thanks to everyone kind of organizing that stuff. And again, pictures mean things, so watch the work happen.
Thank you, guys. All right, personnel report. We have some professional nominations, resignations, and 1 transfer. Fran, was there anything you wanted to add before we made motions to accept these?
Not really.
Okay. You were just coming up, I figured I'd ask.
I wanted to try out the new table in my
It's pretty snazzy.
I mean, I think, unfortunately, it's, like this week we got the 2 grade science teacher resignations, so that's hard this time of year. Science is difficult to fill anyway. I mean, the administrators are really doing a great job trying to get these filled. What I'm hearing anecdotally, mostly from like the high school especially, is the salaries levels are just in jail. They continue to really hurt us. I am concerned about being able to get these positions filled and how that's going to impact us in the fall. But we have negotiations starting up, so I'm really hopeful that next year we'll be in a much different position. But we keep trying to just fill as many positions as we can as quickly as we can, and but it is definitely getting a little bit more challenging.
Yeah.
In that case, I'd like to read in for
No, this is make a motion. Motion to accept.
Motion to accept the professional nominations of Maya Skippolidi, grade 4 teacher at Pollard Elementary, Michelle Adragio, Spanish teacher at Timberlane Regional High School, Keel Demeglio, English teacher at Timberlane Regional High School. Audrey McQueen, special education teacher at Danville Elementary. Carly Slater, grade 4 teacher at Pollard Elementary.
I have a motion to accept the professional nominations. Do I have a second? Seconded by Jack. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed and abstained. Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the professional resignations of Leslie Henderson Pasquini, school counselor at Timberlane Regional Middle School. Elizabeth Dan Durand, French teacher at Timberlane Regional High School. Tamsin Walker, English interventionist at Timberlane Regional High School. Forward Sullivan, 6th grade science teacher at Timberlane Regional Middle School. And Heather Terrell, 6th grade science teacher at Timberlane Regional Middle School.
I have a motion. To have a second? Seconded by Jack. Dawn?
Sorry,
Definitely, yes.
Oh, all those in favor? Opposed and abstained. And thank you for your service at Timberlane while you were here.
Very much.
And then one personal transfer.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the personal transfer of Taryn Stoll, speech language pathologist, to speech language assistant at Sandown North Elementary.
Motion to have a second? Second by Jack. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed and abstained. And then,
Have the,
yeah.
the July 6th nomination report as well, that we did electronically. but-
Yes, and those just need to be read into the minutes,
Yeah,
so,
they weren't done.
yes. Thank you. We always have such a hard time.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
Sandy, there's an interventionist that has been hired, and it just says Timberlane Regional School District. Where is that person going?
And that is the new position that was repurposed for the elementary level. I believe that is going to Sandown North. I'm looking at Lucy. Yep.
Okay. So they just need to be read into the record.
Thank you.
Would you like me to?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, professional nominations. Kyra Butts, kindergarten teacher at Atkinson Academy. Michelle Parker, innovation teacher at Sandown North Elementary. Kevin Boudouin, special education at Timberlane Regional High School. Erica Stack, interventionist at Timberlane Regional School District. And Ashley Leary, 3rd grade teacher at Pollard Elementary.
And then we have one professional
And-
resignation.
Which would be Catherine Small, 1st grade teacher at Atkinson Academy.
And welcome to the nominations, and thank you for your service for the one resignation that we do have. Thank you, Fran. All right. Committee reports. We will start over here. Paul, anything?
I do not have anything. We've covered that from the last CNA, right? Curriculum.
That's the last one.
Yes, we're good.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
We had our subcommittee meeting.
We did. I'm gonna let Sandy take that over,
Take that over.
unless you want to talk about that, Kim.
The curriculum assessment subcommittee talked about classroom sizes. And did we finalize what to put towards policy for our
Yes,
first read?
we actually, this evening at policy, I don't
Yep.
want to take.
No, go ahead. I'll talk about safety. Go ahead.
Yeah, we moved some revisions of policy IIB, which is class size. We sent those to policy committee tonight. We looked at those earlier this evening as a first read. And that'll go back to policy for the next meeting for a second read. So, yes.
And then also, we had like Katie said earlier, we had the New Hampshire School Board Association director come and do a training for our school board. And we talked about goals, but we talked about a lot of other things as it pertains to being a functioning school board and working together and following the rules. And it was a great training, so we just had that Tuesday, so that was great.
Yeah. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Nope.
Okay. Mark?
All set. I'll let you use safety.
So safety met today. It was really good. It was nice to see everybody over the summer. We talked about a lot of good things. Alice training is on track. We've got some tentative dates and some schedules with some personnel, and then moving on down to the kiddos, so that's coming down. And then our next meeting is going to be on the 12th. And is there anything you wanted to add to it?
I think that's the big one.
That was really the big one. So other than that, that's it for me.
I was part of the subcommittee and the work with the curriculum committee, and I'm pretty pleased with the consensus there that we need to be thinking of the future as we set our limits and you know, try to do the best that we can for kids. So.
Yeah, and I just want to say something for myself and for people that might have put me in this position. I know that 12 to 3, I had sent you a note that
Yes,
I'm not
yeah.
sure the 12 to 3 was, I got caught up at work, but I think Dawn and Kim, you guys, we had conversations about, I think we're aligned on that. I think it's a hugely important thing. Do we get these class sizes right and do the right thing for everybody? I mean, even the discussion we had that first night was just healthy and
Right.
moves towards what I feel I'm here for, so, you know, I think you guys, and hopefully I'll make it to the next one, but yeah, it was good talk, important stuff.
Yeah. Jack?
Yeah, so on Monday, Carl and I met with the folks from EEI, the architect, the engineer. It was a meeting that was very fruitful. A lot of good things came out of it. Most importantly, the walls, all the masonry walls in the district, are structurally sound. One of the things that came out, well, that's good news because there was some question. And one of the reasons why that was done was because the lack of documentation for what was put on the walls. There was an original from another firm years past, something that brought up question whether those walls had any integrity or not. So my whole point in this is we need to be thorough. We need to know what's going into the buildings and on the buildings, because right now, as it stands, there's no documentation of the waterproofing materials that went on those walls. And when it comes to the engineers, those kinds of details become very important, right? Because now we want to fix those walls. I was really impressed with the architect. I felt as though he came down from Lebanon. He was really watching out for our interest, and, you know, to watch him and the engineer engage, with each other was great. And basically, what it's come down to, the report is ready. They're doing a little bit of fine tuning on that, and basically, we're going to have two options. One is to,
Excuse me.
Ladies?
Here you, all the way over here.
yeah, one of the options, and when we sat on the construction committee, we kind of told them to not really pursue that, is to put new panels on the walls. That comes with, in my humble opinion, some drawbacks. One, it's 5 to 6 times more expensive as a guesstimate from the architect. Two, you got to start screwing with the roof line on the brand new roof. That's something you really don't want to do. But really, the killjoy for me on that option is the fact that once we put those panels up, you can never look at those masonry walls again and find out if there's any further deterioration of the face of those walls. So even though you build up a little bit of energy savings because they would be insulated, and then the students, I mean, let's face it, it's the gym. The kid with a lacrosse stick and a lacrosse ball, that's a big target. What the other proposal is to take all the paint off, both the insides and the outside, the interior and exterior of those walls, re-waterproof them, and we're getting the specifications as to what that will be. I actually reached out to a few suppliers of this very high-end waterproofing. It's a very specialized industry, and there are a couple people in Boston that manage this, and they agreed that before we did anything, we'd have a manufacturer's rep come out from whatever material we determine we're going to use, look at the walls, make sure that they're ready to go, and this waterproofing material, for lack of a better term, needs to be permeable on both sides of the wall so it breathes, right? With that said, I think I came up with the idea, we did it at the Salem Power Plant, a sandblasting the inside of the building with basically it's a dustless sandblaster, so as fast as that sand is hitting the wall, it's being vacuumed back into a piece of equipment, and the outside will be power washing, and then we'll go in and put that on. Prior to that, the joints, anything that's more than 1/16 of an inch has to be repointed. So there'll be a price from a mason contractor per lineal foot. It's inconsequential on most of the buildings, except for Danville, because that building has the square footage is not much. It's a small little section, so we're going to cut out all those joints because that building is deteriorated to such a point, it just makes sense. If that wasn't the kitchen, with the plumbing and the electrical, we would probably take those walls down and redo them. So what I would ask the board to do, right now we have an engineer, an architect, an EI working on both options to present to the board. I've been doing this a real long time. Option one makes no sense for a whole host of different reasons, and I don't know what the impact is financially to us or to EEI on this, but do we really want to spend 6 times the amount, screw with the wall, and then never know what's going on behind that wall? I don't think that's a wise decision, but if you guys want to see both options, it's...
So if I heard you correctly, the architect who, is not directly with the EEI had suggested or was leaning toward not going with that option for a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
One, financial, and two, so that you can continue to, in years to come, look at the, see the wall.
Yeah, that was, yeah. For me, it's all about, that wall has started to do things. It's fine. The minute they cut out the block, I knew the block were fine.
Yep.
But you'd want to mitigate what's going on the face of that wall. And the best way to do that is with some type of permeable waterproofing. And it was kind of cool to see how the engineers look at things differently. Anything that's left in those little crevices of the block, and then you seal over it, that process may continue to go. So it's yeah. You just want to know. So that's, if the board wants to give me some direction on that. The other thing that the architect brought up was
You want us to do that now?
you can just say, hey, Jack, or you can tell Carl, right? I mean, they kind of wanted to give you both just because they felt as though it was more thorough. Am I stating that right? But boy, do we really want to spend 5 times the amount on those couple of walls that, I mean, hopefully at some point we look at the athletic wing option again, but.
Well, with the purview of the board, do you want to see all information, all options, or it sounds like the architect and everything is just stating what Jack is saying and just do the.
I'd like to see a summary of it, not necessarily a full-blown presentation.
Well, they're going to come in next, they're coming in the next board meeting. But my question is, and maybe Carl, I mean, in some way, shape, or form, you end up paying for that work being done by the engineer, by the architect, and rightfully so. So do you want to, to be fair, say, hey, guys, you know what? We tossed it around. We're really good with option one, and save yourself your time and your money. Because this, to me, is creating a relationship and having a two-way street. If we have no intention of going with option two, let's be fair to them. That's my, but it doesn't matter. Whatever the board wants, the board gets.
There seems to be, from what you're presented, distinct disadvantages if we were to put paneling up there, for nothing else in the wear and tear, just in the gym with having balls and everything hit it, even if it weren't that much more expensive. So
Here's the part. As you increase the quality of those panels going on the wall, so does the price. Right? So
I'm disinclined to go that way, just me personally. I don't need to have.
Carl, do you want to say anything about that?
Thank you.
Yeah. What is your take on, not
I
that
think the
Jack is.
paneling would look wonderful, but again, they literally said it would be at least 6 times the cost, at least 6 times the cost of the painted coating. And at this point, I would recommend that we just go with the painted coating. If we want to put paneling in the future to make it look nice, add insulation, then that would be an option at that point. But we still haven't funded this portion of the repair either. This is something that is above and beyond this study, so now we got to figure out what we're going to do. So.
stay right there. So the other part of that discussion with the architect was the 4 wall systems that we have on this campus: the Harvey board, the windows, the caulking and everything else. The Harvey board is really deteriorating everywhere. Panels are sliding off, and the downside to that is the water is saturating in behind the walls, and you can see it on the overhang through the back of the high school. You can see the effervescence being pushed out on the brick. So at some point in time, it's how we're going to allocate those resources, and you have the windows. Those are all things that are in desperate disrepair. So I say we mitigate the expenses on this part of it. It will work just just fine, and start looking at maybe, on the Harvey board, maybe doing that in phases, once they come up with a solution for that, and they're looking at a number of different solutions, which I think is the next, I mean, Carl, would you disagree with me that that would be the next progressive?
It sounds like you're buying some time. Sounds like you're buying some time before you have to address.
A lot of stuff.
Well,
Anyway.
yeah, and then the last thing, just to throw a little bit more on this plate, is they talked about the state funding for 2025, and we gotta have our stuff in the beginning of 25 for when they allocate those resources in November, as it speaks to Sandown Central. And if we close that down, I mean, they're looking for us. Okay. Well, the architect was looking for stuff.
So, but let's go back to your original thing you wanted
Yeah.
to talk about.
That's fine.
So, Carl, we've heard from Jack and from you, is that you recommend don't do the paneling because it's like 6 times more expensive and just do the sandblasting what Jack has said. Is that correct? Is that what I'm hearing?
And
Okay.
the roof part, is that a concern of yours?
The roof part.
Remember, the architect said, if you put
Oh,
the
yeah,
panels
if
up,
put
you
the
gotta
panel
extend
out,
the
you have to
roof.
do roofing as well,
Okay.
because now you have to extend the roof to cover the panels, so, yeah,
So then-
it's a major expense.
So the next time that we have a board meeting, EEI is coming in to present for the walls, is that correct? Is that
They
what
will,
I'm
they will
hearing?
present the report and give a recommendation of what we move forward with.
My only thing was to say, if we definitely don't want to do the panel thing, stop them now before they do all that work, save them some money. That's all
That was gonna be my
And
question.
I think that
was-
sounds like the consensus of the board is don't worry about the paneling and just do the other thing. Is that what I'm hearing?
that would be my opinion.
I like that.
Okay, so it sounds like that's what we want.
As you wish.
Do you need a motion? No.
I don't think you need a motion, you just need just some direction.
Yeah, just
Jack-
call-
Jack, did you have anything else? Yeah, could you please direct?
Nope. That's it.
Thank you, Carl. All right, do we have any other business or new business that anyone needs to bring up at this time?
I just have a question.
Yeah, Bree, go ahead.
On the job postings.
Yep.
In the high school, it just said in-school support teacher. What is that role?
Are you looking at the vacancy reports?
The in-school support teacher is the reallocated position that we had originally. I think it was ISS is maybe how it was presented here, but it's the individual who's going to be supporting us with keeping kids in school for suspensions and working with coordinating those type of programs.
Yes, Jack.
So I have something. I'm going to probably ask for a motion tonight to do this, and
Depends on what it is.
I'll just make a motion, and if I don't get a second, I don't get a second. But I feel as though this year, at the end of the year, and it's this way every year, you end up with an undesignated fund balance, and we have millions of projects that need to get done. I would love to, by November 1st, have a budget number for every single thing. We've got science cabinets, science labs, kitchen cabinets, all these things that end up on our plate, floors, carpentry, painting, get those budget numbers. And then by March 15th, for the time the new board comes in, put out RFPs for every single thing that doesn't happen internally within the scope of our business. So this way here, we have those bids. This year, all we had was the tennis courts we could do, right? And what prohibited us from doing anything else with that undesignated fund balance that we were lucky enough to have to save money, because costs only go up over time, to have 2 days of just opening up bids in, mid-March, whatever. So this way here, we can coordinate and have as many options as possible at the end of the year. I don't even know if that needs to be a motion, but those should be dates that we want stuff written in granite. We want those RFPs to come back and have any big town does that. They have 2 days of bid openings. And so everything is there, every detail is there. And if we want to pull the trigger on something, we can, because we have it's gone out to bid and we have the proper numbers. And that November 1st date, or it could be November whatever, is more for the budgetary process. The budget committee needs that, and I think we need that. And if you sat here and listened to the architect and the whole scope of things that he went through, the entire district, and said, picture after picture, we need this, we need this, we need this, we need this. It would be nice to know what all those things,
So you're talking about like essentially a wish list? Like
No,
if there's
no, I'm
money-
not
if
ta-
there-
I'm not talking to
No, if there, no, what I'm saying is that you've got stuff that's already budgeted for facilities and whatever, and then it's like, okay, hey, it wasn't budgeted for this year, but if we have money at the end of the year left over, this is stuff that we would want. Is that what you're
That's
talking-
all the bid stuff at the end, but
Okay.
we should do that just as normal course of practice. We should know per square foot what a painter is gonna put it out to bid, and let the painters beat each other up if any of them show up to the game. So this way here, this is way municipalities and bigger districts are operated, right? And what we do is we hope we have somebody left. I mean, let's put it in do the Dodge report still exist? So put it in those places where people go to say, we want a quote on painting, we want a quote on
Is
asphalt.
this only for facilities you're talking about?
At this point, but it's only, what drove me to that was listening and watching the architect's report as to what needed to be done in the district. And the other thing that drove me to that was, we had about $3 million and a ton of work to be done, but we couldn't pull the trigger on any of it because we didn't have the bids. We didn't have budget numbers, like, for instance, the cabinets, right, Carl? We couldn't do the cabinets because we never put it out to bid, and we didn't have a budget number for it. So legally, we couldn't do it.
Agree.
And Carl, maybe you can answer this. Sorry.
You should just stay.
I told them,
It was my understanding that if we put something out to bid, we then had to do it. Is that correct?
That is not correct,
No.
because the
Okay.
bid, the RFPs always state that the board can choose to not do anything as well. The only problem with this is that if you keep asking for bids and then not do stuff, people stop wanting to bid.
Yeah.
So, that's the only downfall. Unfortunately, this year, I was just so busy trying to get the lease project moving that I didn't have a chance to really look at everything that we could move together with end-of-year funds, and I was unprepared.
and is it fair to say, Carl, that the architect and the extra resource we have identified things that needed to be done?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so-
There's a multitude of projects that need to be done in this district, and it's huge. The list is over $100 million long, so.
I just think we need a process to make people competitive with each other, to have our ducks in a row and be out in front of things instead of behind things.
So you're looking for organizational changes to help streamline the process? of the-
Yeah, controls. We want to put controls on what we're doing, how we're doing it, and put a process in place that makes it easier for Carl, that makes it more efficient for us. I mean, it's a shame that we didn't pull the trigger on some of the stuff
Carl,
that
what's your
needed to be done.
I think it's a good idea. Again, this year was really ramping up. We went from 0 to 125, and then there was more thrown at us, so it just caught me by surprise, so.
Besides this year,
Yep.
in a normal year, is
In a
that?
normal year, yes, this would be an ideal thing, and I would normally have a list of things that we could use end-of-year funds. Usually we have an idea in March where we're looking, and I can start getting a list of things and go out to bid if we need to go out to bid.
So it
for
sounds like besides this year, which was just an abnormality, this is something you already do.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other new business? Okay. We will be going into a non-public, 91-A:3, Section C, if I could get a motion for that.
So moved.
So moved by Bree, second, can I get a second?
Oh, second.
Second by Kim. Could I get a roll call vote, please?
Yep, Doug Woodworth,
Yes.
Jack Sapia.
Yes.
Kay Newton.
Yes.
Mark Sherwood.
Yes.
Kim McCormick.
Yes.
Ray Woodworth.
Yes.
And Paula Kane.
Yes.
No. All right, thank you.